Off top, too high. It's the terminology of the week right now. We're hearing about how it's ruining football as we know it. Even some absurd things are being said, like we should ban it so we can have more explosive games. The problem isn't that too high coverages, which is essentially cover two. There are a few variations of it. We'll go through that. But the problem isn't that it exists. The problem is the coaches and quarterbacks are cowards. So we'll get into this film and I'll let you understand. By the way, people who are listening, we're doing the dots on the screen. Watch us on YouTube. I'll try to explain it as best I can. So first up, we got the Dolphins against the Bills. Again, this is two-man. That man coverage underneath with the two safeties have deep responsibility. It doesn't look like it yet, but they'll rotate to it. We got Waddle isolated and zips it in there when he hits about the seam. It's kind of a post. So they use 3x1 to get isolation, and then you have an athlete with a bunch of space. You just have to have the confidence, I guess is the word, to let it rip and the players to get open, which we all do. Now we got the Chiefs against the Bengals. Again, they're playing man under on the left side and cover two on the right side. They put the safety in conflict. So watch, they have Kelsey in the middle of the field, attracting the safety's attention, and then Rice running down the sideline. Essentially, Mahomes is choosing between these two options, and then he hits an incredibly accurate pass. This is the cover two that everyone says you can't beat. All right, here we go. Who's this? Oh, this is the Jacksonville Jaguars, again, going against the Browns. And this is just having the arm strength to rip it into that spot. So they're weak spots in the zone. It's the seams. It's what they call the honey holes on the outside. And they're putting the players in conflict. And if you see consistently, these teams are using 3x1 because that will shift the coverage or the attention of the coverage away from where they're going. Now, maybe you're saying, I don't have a great quarterback. Who can do that? Well, Gardner Minshew can do it against the Ravens. It's a similar situation. They use these players to distract. Nice design. It's, again, the same spot. Right in there, the seam, bending in. Gardner for the win. All right, here is the Browns doing it again against a true cover two. They hit that corner spot right there. So, like I said, you don't need a good quarterback. You just need a quarterback.
Guy's barely an NFL quarterback, and he can beat cover two.
He drops back, and they put a high-low conflict on the corner, and he hits an accurate pass right there to the open spot. So you're probably looking at all those routes and noticing that we get 5 receivers out, and that helps when you're in zone to get more receivers out to stretch out the zone. But let's say that you don't have the personnel to protect with just a 5-man line. You can look at what the 49ers did. Play it for me, Rob. The 49ers, max protect, got 3 out, decided where the ball was going, and ran a similar route that we've been seeing where they use 1 to widen them and 1 player to pull down the underneath guys. And then one of Brock Purdy's special skills is he's not afraid to anticipate and let the ball rip. All right, here's another example. Geno Smith only with 3 receivers out. They needed some guys in to help protect. He's going up against the Patriots, a very good defense. You can go ahead and play it. Right now, he's using his eyes to move the defense, trust his arm and his player, and let it rip right in there to Njigba. So this is not a mind-boggling coverage to beat. The reason why teams aren't beating it is because they're terrified. And here's my favorite example. This is everybody's new wonder boy, Clint Kubiak, and the New Orleans Saints going up against the Dallas Cowboys. And you'll see right here, again, only really 3 people out in a route, max protection. He lets it rip before the receiver is open. That's it. You trust that your receiver is going to get open, and you let it fly. I'll tell you when he throws it right now. He's right about there, and he's underneath the coverage. But you've anticipated this, and you're not going to be dissuaded from taking shots downfield.
This is so funny because that Rashid Shaheed play was one of the viral plays of the early season. And it's against the defense that Mel Kiper wants to outlaw, that people think is neutralizing Patrick Mahomes and making his ADOT and turning him into a dink and dunker.
Thank you for all of that. Start with Mel Kiper. He wasn't serious. He had to be joking. That's absurd. No one would ever outlaw that.
His hair is full of secrets.
And the funny thing about that Chiefs clip is it's kind of a combination of last week's off top. We talked about Marvin Harrison because they doubled Rashid Rice over there. But they put the bait, I guess it wasn't really bait, it was a conflict with Travis Kelce in the middle of the field. They did the early motion to get the defense to declare and to kind of redefine where the target is. And then Patrick Mahomes drops back, looks directly at the left safety, and they put 2 people in his space, and you let him pick one and you throw it to the other one. It's really not that difficult. And the Chiefs specifically, I watched a lot of them today because I've been hearing about how the too high, and it was even last year and the year before that.
2022.
You remember, I lost it on Kevin, our producer, because he kept telling me, no, too high is going to stop Patrick. I was like, it's the second coverage ever created. It's not going to stop him. But I did watch the Chiefs because they are down on explosives. What?
Counterpoint on that. It really sucks that this version of NFL defenses, which is clearly aimed at slowing explosive plays and trying to reduce that from NFL offenses, has made one of the most aesthetic, fun players to watch significantly less exciting because how the Chiefs run offense.
Don't blame the defense. We didn't do it.
Oh, look, I'm happy.
But I'm saying the coverage isn't the reason why. You can go back to when Tyreek Hill was there and they were blowing past everyone. You think teams didn't figure out to run too high then too? And you can go down to Tyreek Hill in Miami. They're still having explosive plays despite the fact that people are obviously running too high against them. The problem with the Chiefs is they are unstable at left tackle. And they don't trust their tackles to hold up. I watched all of their cover 2 plays so far this year. And the issue was the tackle couldn't hold up. And as a result of the tackle not holding up, they started running screens and gadgets and trick plays to try to compensate for it. So the problem isn't with play design or too high safeties. We trust Patrick Mahomes to be able to execute. The problem is they haven't landed an offensive line as stable as they would want it to be.
So part of the stuff that I find interesting here, you're a former defensive back. You have long stood up for the rights of NFL cornerbacks who have been persecuted unfairly by the NFL, by the rules, by the refs. But defenses have the upper hand right now because you're saying it's the second coverage, but it has been used effectively to neutralize some of the effectiveness of the NFL. So obviously the first step of your plan to beat cover 2 is grab your and throw it deep.
To get away from like the absurdity of telling somebody to grab their nuts, it is just about confidence. And it's because I think it's just a risk aversion and I'm guilty of this also, how we all are critical of players like Josh Allen forever daring to turn the ball over. Like, no, sometimes you're going to turn the ball over, but by and large, you'll be better off or will be happier when you're tacked down the field. I think what we're getting is this chase of efficiency that's kind of ruining football. And honestly, you're doing exactly what the defense wants. Every defensive coordinator I ever played for had the philosophy that they will make a mistake at some point. Do not give up the big play. They're not going to score a touchdown. They're not going to be able to drive 80 yards on you consistently enough to win. There's going to be a penalty. There's going to be a fumble. There's going to be a tip ball. The more times you make them take a snap, the more chances you get for something negative to happen. So that was the number one thing that was coached into every defense I played. First, it's stop the run. And then second is eliminate big plays. Tackle them, live to fight another down. And this is what I think this is probably part of the reason why we've seen these offenses decline is because rather than taking the shot down the field, teams are doing these at or behind the line of scrimmage passes.
Yeah.
And that's also a result of them kind of learning that the run game is really hard. And rather than focusing on 9-on-7 drill and getting your run game right, you're like, all right, we don't have to develop sophisticated blocking schemes or even get good at this run blocking. If we just throw it out there, we got a one-on-one and you could beat them.
This is really interesting because I know this is one of your hobby horses for a while, that because football doesn't have a monolithic structure, sort of like basketball or baseball, where there's always like 3's worth more than 2, or like, you have a better chance if you have a certain launch angle on your contact point in baseball. There's so many different ways to run offense in football. But one of the things that analytics had done, which we thought made the game more fun, which was more throwing the ball, spread the ball out, have innovation from college, strip into the NFL. But that's devalued the run game. And it's also made turnovers seem like they are a bigger problem. Maybe they are. Fear of turnovers. And so I'm wondering if this is an analytics thing that's almost had offenses run in a way more similar than we realize, and has made them more susceptible to something that is a pretty simple fix of creating conflict for these defensive backs.
So, I mean, I think you're right about the groupthink part of all of this, because one of the reasons why I thought that analytics could never ruin football the way that it's ruined other sports is because football is such a complex game.
Yep.
You can find different ways to win, but I think it's directly connected to some of the, frankly, factual stats around turnovers. It's like turnover margin, if not, is probably the biggest decider of games, if not the biggest decider of games. So all of us focusing on turnover margin and then also focusing on how difficult it is to run the ball has pushed everybody to be a little bit, not everybody, but generally it's smarter to be more conservative, particularly when you don't have great quarterbacks. And I think that it has this snowball effect where it's like, if we all accepted that turnovers happened, I think we'd be a little happier with the product. But everyone's like, turnover is so important, so I'm not going to turn the ball over. He's going to turn the ball over. I'm not going to let my quarterback. I'm not going to throw it in the middle field where it could get tipped. And I think that does devalue the game.
I like this. This is all Aaron Rodgers' fault. But so the another point of this is we've actually heard sort of a continuous stream of comments from Tom Brady about how the quarterback position doesn't have field generals anymore. They have been overcoached and don't think for themselves, and they come from a college system that is so first read based that it's swam upstream to the NFL. You see that with McVay offenses. You see that with Shanahan offenses. Like Kyle Shanahan famously wants a quarterback that runs the system. You know, Sean McVay was famously telling Jared Goff what to do once he saw how the defense lined up. Is this a problem partially because of how quarterbacks are being developed? And like back in your day when you were playing against, seriously, you're in a golden age of quarterbacks where you had,
oh, that was awesome for me.
Yeah. But I mean, it just shows how exceptional you were, world class. Yeah, right. You know, Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Breeze, guys who are going to walk up to the defense, say, that's cover two. I'm going to beat your here, and here. Is that something that's being stripped out of the game by the lack of optionality for quarterbacks?
The funny thing is the two coaches that you chose clearly needed a quarterback that was going to add something to the system. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Sean McVay is not coaching Matt Stafford to do no-look passes in the biggest game of his life. Yeah. Like, I'm sure he's not coaching him to rip it in tight windows all the time. And the same is true for Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, the difference between Brock Purdy and all these other quarterbacks who we thought were similar is Brock actually does rip the ball into tight windows. And they're ill-advised sometimes, but he does it. And that's the difference between him and, I don't know, any list of other Nick Mullins, all these other quarterbacks that they were able to manufacture. Jimmy Garoppolo, they were able to manufacture some success with. So there is an above and beyond. I think this also could be like a function of the idea that you can only win with a rookie, with a quarterback on a rookie deal. And so we cycle through the quarterbacks and everyone's trying to find their superstar quarterback. And while they're doing that, they're dumbing the game down in order to protect them. But these other, I think the complexity of football too makes it such that sometimes one of those things, it's like a house of cards. Mm-hmm. And that's the Patrick Mahomes point. We've been talking about it like it's the receivers, the lack of receivers. Right now, that's not the problem. It could have been the problem last year.
Yeah.
But right now,
MVS is just doing cardio.
Right now, the problem is they can't protect him. And so it just so happens that the defense is in cover two, or just so happens that the defense was in too high last year. But the too high is not the problem. Do you for a second think that no one thought to run too high when Tyreek Hill was there? Like, that's not the problem. The problem is that they can't block or they have guys who can't catch, and it's different for most teams. I mean, the point of the video was to show that you can beat it. It can be beaten. It's not a perfect coverage. Yeah. You just have to actually protect and not be a coward.
Yeah, and there's more ubiquity to it now. Like, there was even a period, obviously, with, you know, Tony Dungy and the Tampa 2, and like, oh, we can have a lot of success by keeping the ball in front of us.
That's outrageous. Is the last innovation in cover 2 was Tony Dungy and the Tampa 2, which is just essentially it's cover 3 with a middle linebacker being able to play deep third. It's again, it's not a new thing. It's just no one had thought to do that before. None of these coverages are innovative. Like the innovations around coverages is the disguise beforehand or the person doing the job. The coverages aren't new. 3, 4, 6, 2, 1. That's all of them. No one's doing anything new. They're just doing different things to get to it.
Yeah, this is so funny because now I'm imagining that viral photo of Tony Dungy and Tom Brady where they look like wax sculptures in the Madame Tussauds Museum. And it's like they were definitely talking about cover 2 and how quarterbacks can't beat it anymore.
It's not that hard to beat. Anyway.
In summation, the 2 ways that Dominique Foxworth, greater offensive mind than Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, thinks that this too high safety that people think should be outlawed because how it's affecting the game, like the shift in baseball. The 2 ways that you would combat that are?
Grab one nut, then grab the other nut and rip the ball downfield.
For the first time ever, I'll say it. Play the music.
This is the Dominique Foxworth Show.
All right, we are joined by everyone's favorite Mina Kimes. We were gonna do our games. We're still
doing that.
I know. Well, we might not.
People need my survivor pool picks. We're getting to
we
the
might
game.
get to it. We might not. First of all, we're continuing this conversation because Mina just added something to the convo that I think is worth discussing about our infatuation with how too high is so unbeatable in the NFL. So, Mina, what do you think?
Hi. I want to talk about Charlie's survivor picks because it's becoming like the anti-survivor picks now where people should just listen and do the opposite of whatever he does.
Oh, hold on. To have you, just so you know, that if you would have bet $100 against Charlie the past 2 weeks, you would have made $680, by the way. So Charlie is out here just burning money.
We're gonna shoot the moon. If I can go 0-18 in my survivor pool picks, I win.
The best part about this is it was his idea.
And I got to pick first.
And he's picked first. No, I just, obviously, this has been a pretty big subject today on NFL Twitter and the NFL shows, mostly because of what Mel Kiper Jr. said. And we talked about a little bit on NFL Live Week 1, and I just mentioned some of the data, although you know, that can always be a little bit flawed because of defenses always changing their looks. But I actually think the fact that defenses are changing their looks so much now is also a big factor in this with regards to like how the decline in passing and quarterback struggles. And what I said to you before we started taping, so you know that I've tried to get better at identifying coverage in real time. This is something we've talked about. And one thing that I have been noticing is there's obviously pre-snap motion is a huge part of offense now. And a lot of defenses have gotten better at not only disguising their looks pre and post snap, spinning safeties into the box, but they're also better at hiding their man zone indicators in response to motion. Like there's been a lot of plays where following the motion, you safety doesn't follow. I don't think or cornerback doesn't follow. I don't think it's man. And then all of a sudden it is man, or vice versa. And I'm just wondering, Dominique, if you've noticed that and if you think that could be one of the things also affecting quarterback play in offenses.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I was telling Charlie that I think that there haven't been new coverages. They're just like the newest modifications to these coverages is about it's either disguise or who is going to the role, like who's going to the spot. Like occasionally you'll get a linebacker playing the deep half player, which a quarterback pre-snap, like, all right, there's nobody who can get there. All of the DBs are in this position. There's no way they can get to cover two. And you'll get that in like a Spags defense. And I remember so clearly, to your point about the motion, when Eberflus was, I guess it was his first year as coordinator with the Colts, and he had Shaquille Leonard. I mean, at that point was Darius Leonard playing middle linebacker, and they motioned a running back from the inside all the way to the number one spot, and Darius Leonard ran all the way out there, and he played cover two, like a squat, flat corner technique. Never seen it before in my life, and I assume that since then, other teams have picked this up, and what it comes down to is how athletic and smart are all your defenders, because like if you have a corner who plays nickel and who plays safety and understands the whole defense, you can motion him anywhere as long as he knows, because the responsibilities change, but it's something that you know to do. And I feel like the Ravens, that's the best thing to say about what the Ravens defense was last year, is that the jobs didn't change, or the defense didn't change that much, but the jobs did.
I thought New England in week 1 against Cincinnati really impressed me with the level of confusion they were playing, not just in terms of like hiding the end zone indicators and what they're doing in the back end, but as you said, like the different roles they were playing. And it's not just coverage, it's also up front, right? The simulated pressures are just, you mentioned the Ravens, this is not new. We're not saying it's new, so nobody freak out, but the usage of them is undoubtedly on the rise. It's constantly now when you're watching defenses. New England is one. That's why I brought them up. But there's so few just line up and play defenses now across the league generally. And against a quarterback like Joe Burrow, who's like very smart and very regimented and wants to make the right decisions, you really saw him in real time being like, just check it down. Now, maybe some of that was him not wanting to make, super hard throws week 1 as well. And there was he had some opportunities to do so that he turned down. But I do think just generally defensive play being really, really good is a huge part of this. Nate Tice, who's a friend of both of ours, had a great thread about the offensive lines having trouble with everything that defenses were doing up front. And I think that's something I'm curious to see, Dominique, over the course of the season, how that shakes out. Like, do offensive lines get better at sorting out simulated pressures and picking up, stunts and that kind of thing, as some of the various games we're seeing? And then do quarterbacks get more comfortable facing these, I don't even know what the word is to describe these types of defenses, but
it's the disguises. And something that I've always talked about is the quarterbacks, the best quarterbacks we talk often about quarterbacks' ability to read the coverage, and the best quarterbacks are not reading the coverage after the snap of the ball. The best quarterbacks have, at least for some amount of plays, understand what the coverage is before the ball is snapped. And particularly late in the game, you've already, it was one of the things that Belichick did that was always so impressive, is by the fourth quarter, everyone's already like showed all their best third down plays. And so by the fourth quarter, Tom Brady knew what you were going to be in based on where you were. But Belichick understood that. And so by the fourth quarter on his side, they'd bring something new out. And it would look just like the thing you saw all earlier, the entire game before, but it was the exact opposite. And I think that it speaks to us just as a game getting smarter, where there are keys for quarterbacks normally. And I used to talk about Peyton, playing against Peyton. He would study the whole defense, and one of us would give away. Like, we all couldn't be perfect. One of us would give it away. And now the defenses are so like ever changing that it feels like it's harder to get an idea who's going to give it away. And there's no capper on the blitzes anymore. I've seen that. That's been like mind blowing to me. I used to be able to like impress my friends when I'm watching football. Like, oh yeah, he's blitzing, or this is happening.
Yeah.
Because I could see the capper. They're like,
so
how'd you know that?
Football, because you can always,
Oh yeah, it's pretty obvious. Yeah. Or somebody was faking a blitz, like he's not blitzing. There's no capper there. Okay, whatever. And now it's just doesn't happen anymore. They just do these rotations, and the simulated pressures they'll make it look like they're coming from the other side and come from this side. But anyway, I don't know what the next move is, but the next major offensive innovation is going to have to be an answer to that, right?
You know what the
run the ball,
the easiest solve,
yeah, run the damn ball. I mean, it's the answer to every question in football, man.
And it's not just though. It does get oversimplified. It's not just because defenses are playing with safeties with depth and they have lighter bodies, although that is part of it. But if you can run the ball with efficiency, with especially with big bodies on the field or whatever, you suddenly regain the power to dictate to defenses, because defenses aren't as able to do some of the things that we're describing in the exact same way, and certainly on the back end too. So I when I'm trying to think of like, okay, which offenses are going to be successful over the course of this season, obviously you have your elite quarterbacks, and I think they'll figure it out, right? You're talking about that, and some of the elite play callers, but the ones who are good at running the football for, various reasons, I think will have an easier time of it.
I guess we shouldn't have devalued the running back position.
For the running game. Thanks a lot, Charlie. All right, let's do our normal format.
Good game, guilty pleasure game. Week 3.
I can go first.
Yeah, you're up first.
Good game, Saints-Eagles. It feels like I've been...
Is this a good game?
Absolutely. Maybe.
Offensive
maybe.
juggernaut? The Saints?
No, I think she's going the other way. I know which way you're going. Go ahead.
do we think the Eagles defense has a chance?
There we go. There we go.
That's what I wanted to ask.
The defensive line's disgusting. It's abominable.
The problem is I had to make this my good game because my disgusting game
we'll get there.
is pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
So the the Eagles or the Saints, this is about the Saints, right? This is about how good the Saints really are. And after week 1, I was very wrong by saying that I thought they were going to get dominated, but this was going to be a test. They passed the test. And fortuitously, there's another test right around the corner of a team that hasn't been very good in quite some time, but does have some players worth respect. Oh, I rewatched that game, and I was as high as I was on Quinyon Mitchell. I really was disappointed in him at the end of that game because, speaking of cover 2, they bombed him on the cover 2 because he, for whatever reason, in the 2-minute drill was covering the flat and didn't sink and put any air under it. But anyway, that's a side note that could probably be cut out, but Mina needed to hear that because it was important. But yeah, I think it's about the Clint Kubiak and the new look Saints and seeing if they can continue to steamroll people. So I think this is a good game. The Eagles are a good team. They should be able to make it more competitive than the Cowboys did.
I think it could be a shootout. So, although I do,
No
the Saints defense has obviously played really well, and Solak made this point to me, and it kind of got me thinking, like, as good as the Saints offense has been, and they've been extremely good, they've been front running thus far, right? Like, we haven't actually seen, Derek Carr playing from behind yet, and part of the reason why they've been able to do everything they have with the run pass, all the play action, is because they haven't fallen behind. Now, the problem is I don't think they fall behind in this one, so I'm not sure that that's actually put to the test necessarily against this defense, but I'm probably more interested in the other side of the ball because Eagles offense has been so up and down. Sometimes they look like a juggernaut running the football. I think they could absolutely stress the Saints in that way, but Jalen Hurts hasn't had a good start to the season. I don't think AJ Brown is playing in this one just yet. I could be wrong about that. Yeah. So I want to see, like, week 1, I was so encouraged by what I saw from Kellen Moore, and and then week 2, it felt like took a step back in multiple ways on offense. So I'm kind of, I don't think the Eagles defense is good, and it's going to take a lot for me to move off of that. But the Eagles offense, I'm still like a little bit undecided about. So I think this will be interesting from that perspective.
Yeah, the Eagles offense. I mean, Jalen Hurts, to me, man, I expected him to have improved from his first year as a starter, and haven't seen that very much. But yeah, I think you're right. Devontae Smith wasn't good in that game, even though he caught a touchdown pass. He wasn't good in that game. This offense revolving around Saquon Barkley, I thought would be something that would be pretty fun and exciting, which actually, to be fair, it has been.
I mean, he looks good.
It has been. And if he catches that ball, we might be talking differently about this team. Mina would still not believe in their defense, but there would be no second guessing whether this was a good game or not.
Well, it also just shows how different their wide receiver room is without AJ Brown. Yeah, it's a huge difference. When who is Britton Covey was their second, got the second most cut
he
targets.
He went crazy.
Yeah.
You want me to go to my disgusting game?
Yes. Tell us your guilty pleasure game.
Guilty pleasure game.
See if someone will match your freak.
Ravens, Cowboys.
Do you have a split jersey? Do you have a half and half Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson jersey to wear for this game?
Nice, simple.
Actually, before we actually talk football, who in your heart of hearts are you rooting for between those two? Lamar?
Yeah, I mean, my son's a Ravens fan. I would like my son to be happy, so I'll go with the Ravens.
I don't believe you. I think you're rooting for the Cowboys.
I think, honestly, I don't think the Cowboys have a shot this year at winning a championship, so I would rather see the Ravens keep their season alive and not go to 0-3 than the Cowboys win, honestly. I mean, it comes down to both of these. If you're going to say that I have a special spot in my heart for both these quarterbacks, they both need to win a Super Bowl. They don't need to have a good regular season to prove anything else to us. The Cowboys are a long shot. The Ravens, they look like a long shot too right now, but so there's a lot of other questions in the AFC, so maybe. I think I would go with that. But yeah, this team's good at running the ball. The Cowboys need to learn how to stop the run. These are all questions that we had, but I do think this is going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like whoever loses this one, it's full on panic mode.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys defense, it's like become so obvious how to attack them. So I want to see if Todd Monken can do that, quite frankly. Also, the Ravens' offensive line is such a problem.
Yeah.
And I want to see if, again, Monken can mitigate that and prevent it from becoming a Micah Parsons takeover game. We have seen really good offensive coaches find ways to take him out of games. I don't know if they can. That's something that I'm very interested in seeing. And then on the other side of the ball, the Ravens defense is absolutely going through growing pains, with the losses that they've had and their defensive coordinator gone. I think they'll be fine. I also think there's no one on that team who can cover CeeDee Lamb. Cornerback is a real issue for them. So probably the best case scenario for this game to me is like a shootout, which I would really enjoy if this was a high scoring one.
This is the one point that I wanted to make. So like I don't know. I don't like to try to like embarrass people who are like breaking down film, but I've seen a stretch of people calling out Micah Parsons for not setting the edge when they're 2 down blocks. But if they're 2 down blocks in a puller, you have to spill it. I don't know who needed to hear that, but it needed to be said.
It's getting this ball.
You're no longer responsible to set the edge, because if you set the edge, then there'll be a hole. You spill it so your linebackers can run to it. So Micah might have had a lot of issues, but if you get a down block, you're supposed to go underneath unless there's some other defensive scheme. Again, I don't know who it's for. But
he's really getting the Dak Prescott treatment.
He is, right?
Yeah, I've noticed that as well.
And it's so wrong sometimes. Yeah. And like I'm sure that he's getting blown off the ball sometimes, but that one really pissed me off. Like people are flipping out like, Micah, what are you doing? He's spilling the play. It's what you're supposed to do.
We're getting real inside baseball because I haven't seen anyone criticize Micah Parsons.
You haven't? Well, Mina's seen it. I've seen it. That's enough for me. All right. I did my games, and now I'm in a bad mood.
Oh, wow. You're cranky now? Yeah. Well, at least one of your teams is going to win on Sunday. So you should be happy. Mina, your good game.
Okay, my good game is Lions-Cardinals. I think this game was awesome. The Cardinals offense is kind of exactly what we would hoped it would be through the first 2 weeks of the season. RIP the Marvin Harrison Jr. can't run fast storyline, week 1 through week 1 of 2024. That will go down in history as and one of the worst freakouts. Yeah. I also think that they match up really well with this Lions defense, which they're good against the run, but I think that Arizona will be able to attack them through the air when they put multiple tight ends in the field. There's just people in coverage on that team that you can still attack, and I'm worried about those Lions linebackers' ability to hold up again against this Cardinals offense. I'm just loving the Kyler Murray renaissance.
Yes.
It feels like the appreciation is there too, which I'm enjoying. And then on the other side of the ball, like the Lions really got to bounce back because this offense, like we thought it would be a juggernaut, and it hasn't been. And it's not just. There's been kind of a multitude of reasons. Like last week against Tampa, you had kind of a classic Jared Goff struggle bus pressure game where he starts, getting jittery in the pocket and not seeing the field well. But it's more than that. Like the offensive line isn't as dominant as they've been.
Yeah, that was the thing that jumped out to me is
receiving group. Yeah, feels a little thin. I don't know. What do you think? Like when you watch them dominate the Lions, forget the Cardinals, do they feel as good as we thought they would be?
It's tricky because coming into this season, the things that I wanted to see from them was like a consistent Jameson Williams big play threat, which it feels like we've gotten an influx of Jameson Williams big plays, which I thought would fix the offense. And I assumed that the O-line was still dominant in large part because the playoff or the overtime game they were. And then they didn't run the ball well in the next game, which prompted me to like take a look. Actually, I was like, you aren't dominating the way that I want you to dominate, and so that makes him a little bit weaker to me. I actually think Terrion Arnold is good. He's had a rough start, but watching him play, like
he's had to face some pretty tough matchups.
Yeah, and I think he's held his own, and he'll have some of those that he wins. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, the defense, the pass rush again is a one-man wrecking crew, which is not going to be sustainable. But yeah, it's the same story. It's like when it all falls on when there are certain like insufficiencies on a team, the quarterback is the place where you go to lift it up, and that's not what Jared Goff's going to be.
Your disgusting game, Mina. Your guilty pleasure. You always get real gross with these.
So Packers Titans is my guilty pleasure, but only if Malik Willis plays. I don't want to see Jordan Love out there, honestly. I don't know. I kind of think that's not happening. I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Practicing, yeah.
he's limited. I don't know. That feels more like mind games. I don't know why you would rush him out. I mean, again, obviously I don't know the extent of his injury. I'm just going off of what we saw week 1. And if he plays, I'm just gonna be like, oh, please don't land on him, Jeffrey Simmons. But if Malik Willis does play, I just want to see what kind of Army Navy trots out this week. I want to see,
Oh my gosh, triple option,
wing
T.
flex bone, swinging. I just dip into the
bone.
1910s Yale football before the forward pass was legalized or whatever. Because I really actually enjoyed watching all of the crap he was trotting out last week. And I thought it was an incredible coaching performance. And this is a better defense, so it might not go well. But yeah, and it's a Malik Willis revenge game.
You went through all that. You did not mention the most disgusting guilty pleasure of watching that game, which is Mayo Jameis, Will Levis, the funniest player in the NFL, who could do anything on any play.
Oh gosh. I hated watching his coach cuss at him in the middle of the game, but I also.
How did that make you wait? As the former player, trademark rights reserved in this room, are you cool with that or not cool with that?
I mean, I didn't like it. I tend to be not cool with it, but I also realize that he's got to keep that locker room. And what you do and what normally when guys do completely stupid like that, normally you cover for them and then you rip them later away from the camera. But I kind of felt like Bill had no control. Bill Callahan. Brian Callahan.
He's there too.
Yeah.
He's probably yelling at him also.
I felt like he had no control and he just lost it.
Brian Callahan has started this season on a heater. Week 1, we could have punted on first down and won that game.
That's nasty.
Week 2,
that's nasty.
He was caught on the sidelines asking Will Levis.
He wasn't caught. He wasn't caught on the sideline.
Okay. There was a camera on him on the sidelines saying, "What the bleep were you doing?" when Will Levis lateraled the ball while he was being sacked and went to the other team. They asked him in the press conference afterwards what he said to Will Levis, and his response was amazing. "I think you saw what I said."
The camera caught it. And then he tried to say like he didn't know that the camera caught it. Go ahead, Mina.
What is the equivalent in our world of going from Joe Burrow to Will Levis?
Oh.
This is how we get in trouble. But please continue.
I say in our world.
It's a good question. I'll text you the answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will too.
Right, never.
It's going from Mina to anybody. Mina to Pablo. We can get away with that.
Hey.
Got him. All
right. My good game. I'm actually genuinely excited about this. Is the Texans versus the Vikings.
Yes, this is the one.
Obviously, a lot's been made of both the Texans offense and the Vikings defense, which is coordinated by Brian Flores and gave the San Francisco 49ers fits last week. So to see what he'll do against another young quarterback in CJ Stroud, even though he is sort of like a 34-year-old vet talking to Caleb Williams, as we saw in the tape after that. I'm really interested in that. And on the other side, obviously, not to make it too simple, but we're all like, this is like Sam Darnold is like the guy at the craps table who's on an absolute heater, and everyone is just cheering for him to have this keep going. And I want to see how long.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy because the guy at the craps table is not actually displaying any exceptional ability.
It's exactly right. We're rolling
it's
over.
a good analogy.
Mina's taking out her receipts, being like, I told you in 2018.
Mina,
the 97-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
He's thrown some dimes.
He's thrown some dimes. Okay, all right. I can agree with that. I can agree.
Yeah, it's a sick
he has thrown
to Jefferson.
some dimes, but let's not go around puffing our chests out like he just needed the right coach.
No. I'm totally for this. And I'll tell you why. And we'll get to my guilty pleasure game, but the fact that all of Darnold Hive had 6 years of him sucking to get to this moment.
Oh gosh,
means that I have 6 years on any bad take that I have.
That's the precedent.
All I need is 2 good weeks, and I can pull out the receipts.
Yeah, I was
gotta wait.
Man, yeah. My worst take is probably the Josh Allen one, and I came back on that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Once you see it, it's okay to be honest.
But that's the other way. It's if you like go out on a limb that someone's going to be good. Like if Jeff Okuda locks down someone for
I'm
like
coming out.
4 plays,
I'm coming out.
That's your Darnold
I'm
moment.
coming out.
We never stop believing. Yeah,
he was so good at college. The technique was so sound.
Through 2 weeks of the season, specifically on this game, who do you guys give an advantage?
Route recognition and everything. I'm sorry.
I'm not like putting you on the spot to make a pick, but like who do you see? Do you see the Texans offense sort of clicking? Because we haven't fully seen the split in target shares. Nico Collins has been the clear number 1 on that team, and it's been slightly more murky with Steph Diggs and Tank Dell. Running the ball has been mediocre results with Mixon. Do you see that offense getting rolling, or do you see this sort of Minnesota team that's been one of the surprises of the early season, like pulling off? I guess it would be an upset against this Texans team.
I've got Houston.
Mm-hmm.
The offense has been a little bit inconsistent, not because of Nico Collins, commanding the bulk of the targets. Yeah. By the way, he is. I'm almost at the point where I'm ready to call him like a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I think he's unbelievable.
He's unbelievable.
He's.
All right, is the talk over?
No, just the physical traits are so unique, and he's still consistently underrated. That. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that contract is going to look pretty good. But the reason that they've been up and down is the offensive line has not played well. And you really saw that against Chicago, that Bears defensive front, which the Bears defense is really good, but they dominated them. And, they also, I thought, ran the ball way too much in early downs. It was just like a Bobby Slowick special, and it didn't go well in that game in particular. And I'm a little bit worried in this one because of what we saw last week. I think Flores against it's not the same offense by any means, but I thought he did a great job of taking away some of those quick, easy, middle of the field concepts that both of these offenses like because of what they're able to do. It actually kind of goes back to what Dominique and I were talking about at the top, you know what I mean? However, I trust CJ's ability to problem solve it a lot more than Brock Purdy. I also don't think that they have the corners to handle all of those weapons.
You make a good argument. I was going to go the other direction, honestly. Not to pick the Vikings to win, but in the matchup, like the Texans could win the game, but lose that matchup like they did last week. Mm-hmm. And I was expecting something similar to that, honestly, because like what we've seen, I don't imagine that, I think they will have success confusing CJ Stroud and slowing this offense the same way they did last week.
This is Tank Dell week for all who celebrate. It's gonna go off.
You didn't call me out for first naming people after you called me out. It's because you can first name people. It's okay.
Who? I only called me out. Did I call you out?
Last week you called me out like 3 times.
Oh,
or week before
last. Name?
Yeah, I forgot. Some pass rushers, I think.
Oh yeah,
something like that.
So, my guilty pleasure game. This is like I'm going to order DoorDash twice in one day and not get off the couch. Guilty pleasure. It's Bears and Colts. And I know what you're going to think. You're going to be like, oh, look at this guy. He's just an Anthony Richardson. He's just an Anthony Richardson fan, Stan. You're going to pick him every week. I have till 2029. I learned that from Mina. Don't you rush me on that. He has like 120 yards and I'm going to be like, check the receipts.
The good thing is, teams are so patient now.
Yeah.
They're definitely going
It's going to be at his third stop.
He's not 5'9", 180. He'll be fine.
Oh, God.
But it's actually, I'm just as interested in the Bears side of this. Yeah, of course, the Colts, Anthony Richardson, 3rd most yards per play in the NFL, but they run the fewest because of their defense. I mean, that totally got buried by everyone coming at me about the Anthony Richardson stuff. But it's the Bears side of it. Because of that defense, because Caleb Williams has been put in the best position for a number 1 overall pick in history, and he is a generational talent, and he has really struggled for the first 2 weeks, even though he's the adult son of CJ Stroud. I want to see him have a good game this week. We're not in must-win territory. We are in beginning must-play better territory. Not must-play well, must-play better territory.
No, but this is to your point, Charlie, this is a huge opportunity because you're going up against a Colts defense that I think forget Anthony Richardson. That defense is not good, man. Mm-hmm. And the Bears' run game hasn't really gotten going. Again, the Colts' run defense is bad. They're out DeVorest Buckner in this game. And Caleb Williams, like for all of his struggles, and he has struggled just as much as anyone, the Titans and Texans are good defenses, I think, particularly the Texans. So if there was ever a chance for, him to show some improvement, for Waldron to show some improvement, for this embattled Bears offensive line to show some improvement, it would be against this unit. And I think if it doesn't happen in this game, you start to get a little bit worried.
Mina, you have a lot of Shane Waldron experience.
Yeah.
Are we sure he's good at all?
Who said he was good?
I don't know. He keeps getting jobs. He's the steward of the most talented quarterback prospect in half a decade.
The contrast between him and the Seahawks offensive coordinator now, Brian Grubb, I thought really stood out this last week against New England. This New England defense is fantastic, and they were dominated Seattle at the line of scrimmage. And you really saw the adjustments that Grubb and Gino were able to make in the second half pay off. They didn't stubbornly stick to running the ball. He has been really good at coming up with quick game stuff for him. He has been really good using the middle of the field, which they did not do with Shane Waldron. So I definitely feel like Seattle got the better side of that one.
What will your level of concern be if this is another game where Caleb Williams is just getting sacked over and over again?
Yeah, concern for his health. Yeah, I'd be concerned about that. But the problem is it's tough to give a real projection and eval if he's getting sacked. Like, my level of concern for his career or his ability doesn't change if he's just getting harassed the whole game. Yeah. My level of concern for why Shane Waldron's been trusted with this human, it goes up, I guess.
Yeah. It's failing upwards at an elite level. Is this is this the week 60% passing for Anthony Richardson?
Nope.
60%? No. The Bears defense is really good.
Yeah, really good.
I think they're like legit. And the funny thing is, all the stuff that I was like, there's very few line up and play defenses. Yeah. They're a little bit more like that, and it doesn't matter because they're so good.
Yeah, I mean, 49ers are another team that is that. But anyway, all right. Let's get to Charlie's.
Ooh, Survivor Pool. It's time to make our picks, guys. Dominic, you get to pick first this week. So the two teams you have picked so far are the Seahawks and the Colts. You've gone 1-1. You're not surviving. Only Mina is surviving at this point.
I don't get any points for the first week where I went 3-0.
A Survivor Pool is you have to survive the whole time.
All right,
Mina's picked the Bills and the Chargers. I've picked the Bengals and the Ravens. Dominic, your pick.
Give me the Bengals going up against your Commanders.
Must win.
Yeah, they're 0-2 team at home against a team that may or may not field the defense at all.
Yeah, they're an abominable organization.
And a rookie quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to the bank. All right, who's next? You next?
Bank.
Yeah, take it to the bank.
Mina's next.
Oh, no, you're next, Charlie, because Mina's obviously looking at her computer right now.
Okay.
No, I got mine.
Okay.
By the way, Mina, I'm already watching Arch Manning highlights and just preparing for the...
he's starting, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I looked at some Marshall Manning, too, but he's like a decade away. So
Charlie, the story behind this is Charlie's given up on Jane
not
Daniels
being good.
surviving.
Surviving.
And he's already decided that his Commanders will be drafting a quarterback.
If there's one person who can break the Snyder curse, it's a Manning.
I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sending the Broncos to 0-3. Todd Bowles, Bo Nix. Need I say more?
Names, love it. Todd Bowles is gonna blitz that dum-dum. Oh, that wasn't nice. I should have said that. Todd Bowles is gonna. He's gonna blitz that nice old man.
I was about to say, don't.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse. Never mind. Moving on. Just pick something, Charlie.
All right, I got to go out on a limb here. I'm gonna go with my heart. I want to stand with my best friend, Dominic Foxworth.
Oh, gosh.
Got to stand with him in unison. We're going to be watching the game together. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys over the Baltimore Ravens.
Really?
That's right.
Why?
See, this is the problem.
He's trying to.
Yeah. And watch the Cowboys win. Watch them win. He's going to ruin it.
This is a win-win for me, baby. Either I win or the Cowboys lose.
Two questions, actually. Do we feel like now that the Panthers with Andy Dalton, we're no longer comfortable picking
That's
against
exactly what happened. Yes. That's exactly what happened. Is you're going to get the best effort from that team.
Dead cat bounce.
Yeah. And they might get a little something.
Yeah.
The other one I was going to pick the Niners, but we just heard that in addition to CMC and Debo being out, Kittle and Travarius Ward are out. Meanwhile, on the Rams side, there's no Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, half of the offensive line, half of the secondary is out. I feel like the Niners will win, but
Seahawks about to win that division, baby.
In a game
Seahawks
like that,
playing a backup quarterback, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
With those two coaches, this is like their flex week. John McVay and Kyle Shanahan. They're like,
They're so jealous of LaFleur last week. Like, he won with what?
Yeah, watch this.
Me. I think Shanahan went and
just unless Mike McDaniel can win with Skylar Thompson, then he's gonna be like, hold my beer, guys.
A great Shanahan group chat. All right, Mina, thank you so much. See you next week. Bye, Charlie. Thank you, too. Thanks to all the great producers. Podville, I love you. Cortez is a coward.
This is the Dominique Foxworth Show.